Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of gear that I would love to try but definitely can't afford. I am not sure how I feel about the piece of gear I'm going to talk about today. It's very intriguing, but would I spend the money on it? I'm not really sure. I'm going to talk about the Zenbivy Ultralight beds and just these kind of beds in general. I know that Big Agnes makes something that's kind of similar too. That design doesn't intrigue me as much as this Zenbivy one, just because they came out with an ultralight one and it is a lot lighter than the previous version. It makes me kind of go, because I always have a hard time sleeping in the backcountry. Night one for sure. I don't know what it is. It's probably the mom in me. If I am by myself with my hubby, I sleep like a log. But as soon as I have my kids with me, I'm worried about everything. I listen to every sound. I'm worried about everything. And I think that I don't sleep the first night, but I end up sleeping the second night because I'm just exhausted. I end up sleeping. Now, I do know that I'm not always that comfortable either. I sleep on my back and I haven't found an awesome pillow for back sleeping yet. I find that all the pillows are too puffy or move around too much, and I'm still looking for that perfect pillow. In my new gear for 2024, I have a pillow that I'm trying this year. This one is intriguing because it's more like a bed. So what it's got is kind of a partial sheet. It's about half or 3/4 of the way down your mat, and it's got a quilt, and that quilt attaches to the sheet, and then it's also got this cubby at the top for your pillow so that your pillow doesn't go anywhere. And you can buy their pillow or you can use your own pillow in it. But it's really interesting because it gives you a little bit extra warmth and comfort under your body with that little bit of sheet. And I think that it also would keep out drafts better because you've got the sheet attached directly to the quilt. Now, I had heard that with the previous versions, there was a lot of air that would come through that thin material of the sheet that the quilt was attached to, so you would still get that air coming in. I think that they have fixed that now because that sheet portion actually comes up over the top of the quilt now instead of just attaching to the bottom of the quilt. So the quilt is essentially all the way down at the mat, which is good. So you've got the thickness of the quilt on the sides, whereas before I don't think that the quilt actually went all the way down, and when you'd roll, you would get just the sheet and then the air would come in there. But this one has kind of solved that. So it also puts the corners of the quilt inside this little hood area. So that is really good at blocking drafts as well. It's also got a little baffle at the bottom. So when you cinch up the bottom of the quilt, there's a little baffle that covers the little hole that's made on the cinch, which is really neat because normally people have to stick a sock or something through that hole in order to block the drafts. There's a drawstring around the neck like a regular quilt. You can have your foot box open if you want to when it's really cold, or cinch it up. And the hood that goes over the pillow is actually insulated, so you can stuff your head right underneath that hood and it keeps your head warm, so it's more like a mummy bag. And that's kind of what I was used to when I was doing backpacking back before ultralighting, as I always had a mummy bag, and that definitely kept my head warm. And now I just wear a toque. A lot of people will get those down hats that wrap all the way around that are very similar to a mummy bag. A lot of the quilt companies make those, which is cool, but then of course it's just another piece of gear that adds more weight. It's also made of lightweight down. Let me see if I can find out what the specs are for this thing. So it looks like the outside is made of 10D Pertex. I believe that is the same thing that my quilt is made of. It's pretty lightweight and durable enough. Looks like it also uses 30D nylon somewhere and 20D nylon. It doesn't really specify where. It's got water resistant down, which is called hyper dry. It looks like it's 700 and 800 fill power. It also uses 900 fill power extra dry goose down. It doesn't actually explain where they're using the different fill powers of down. I'm hoping that the 900 fill power is in the full bag because that would make the bag quite light. The really interesting thing is they also make some sleeping pads, and one of their sleeping pads is made of a flex 4-way stretch knit. I have heard that their sleeping pads are quite warm and they're actually quite comfortable because of the 4-way stretch knit. They look like they're constructed quite similar to the Mech Vectair LT pads, which means that the baffles are opposite to each other. So where the dip goes in, the opposite side would actually be the full air portion. So they're opposite to each other like this, and that way you're not connecting with the ground anywhere with the pad. So far, the people that have been testing out the pads say that they are really comfortable. So obviously that would add a lot more comfort to your sleeping experience as well, as if you've got a really comfy mat. My Nemo pad is quite comfortable, but I could definitely stand a little bit more comfort. Maybe I would sleep better. There's an ultralight bed, there's a light bed, there's a core bed. There's quite a few different beds that they make. Obviously the ultralight bed would be the one that I would be interested in. And the ultralight quilt says that there's either a 25-degree down one or a 10-degree down. That's pretty standard with quilts. Actually, most quilts are 20 or 10 degree. There's a regular, a large, and an extra large. And specifications. The regular quilt in the 25 degree is 1.1 pounds, so 482 grams. That's not bad at all. And the large is 1 pound 3 ounces, or 538 grams. 1 pound 6 ounces. For the extra large, 623 grams. 10 degree is 1 pound 10 ounces for regular, which is 737 grams. And I'll let you guys look on the website for the large and the extra large. It looks like they're compatible with all the sheets, so all the sheets can go with any quilt. The regular quilt is 78 by 54. That's pretty standard for quilts. The large is 86 by 58. It looks like that quilt is a 900 fill power. So I would imagine that the light one is probably the 800 fill power, and this one is the 900 fill power, because it's the ultralight one, and it's also the Expa Dry, fluorocarbon free, water resistant goose down. So that's kind of nice. So it's interesting, on the website they give you a weight for the quilt, and then it gives you a fill weight. So it says the fill weight is 286 grams for the 25 degree down. Now I don't know if that means that you have to add 286 grams to the actual 482 grams of the regular weight of the quilt. Like, is the 482 grams only the material? That is something I'd have to email the company and find out. Just thinking about the weight of my quilt, I'm thinking that you probably have to add those two together. It's very interesting that they would split that up. So they come in silver gray or black and red. Again, boring colors. People, it would be really nice if you would give us some bright colors, but whatever, that's okay. The silver gray is not too bad. I'm sure that it would probably get pretty dirty because that silver looks like it's very close to white. Because either the silver or the gray, I'm not sure which is which. One is a light color and one is a darker color. The lighter color definitely looks like it could get dirty fast. So definitely interesting. The mattresses might be a little bit more interesting to me than the quilts, just because the mattresses look like they would add a huge level of comfort to my sleeping. I really, really, really love my UGQ quilt. So for me to switch over to this that is heavier than my UGQ quilt would definitely be a big step for me. So not sure yet if I'll ever try it. Of course, I can't afford it at the moment, which is the whole premise of the video. So we'll see. But I mean, if sleep is the number one most important thing to you when you're backpacking, this definitely would be a very good option. Last year, I wouldn't say that it was that great of an option because they were so heavy. But now with this new ultralight version, I would say that it's definitely considered an ultralight piece of gear now. Thank you so much for watching the video. Would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. We're trying to get over that 500 people mark, and we're super close, but not close enough. There's a ton of people watching my videos, but not a lot of people subscribing, and it's the subscriptions that get us over that hump of being able to actually make a little bit of money from the channel. And that would really help us keep going and being able to buy some of this gear that we can't afford, so that we can give it a really honest review and then make a review video for you guys to see later. At the moment, I'm obviously just giving an opinion based on what I see on the manufacturer's website and based on what other people are saying on YouTube. People are saying that this is comfy and that it's lightweight and that it's worth it. I have no idea because I haven't tried it. So I can't recommend it, but it does look like a cool piece of gear. So I'll let you guys decide. So let me know what you think of this piece of gear in the comments, and I'm trying very hard to answer every single one of your comments, and I absolutely love interacting with you guys. So keep the comments coming. Thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next video.